This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, but rocking a beautiful Toronto background because spiritually, that's my home as far as I'm concerned. And folks, here we are on March the 15th. I want to start off by first off wishing my absolutely wonderful friend Lisa Langlois a happy birthday today. I am rocking her shirt on here today. Because had it not been for her, I would not have drifted out of this backwards province and experienced um, Toronto or even the convention world, which I am set, if my eye heals completely, to do my first convention in the US, Chiller
Oh, wow.
Theater, Chiller Theater in New Jersey. So I'm a set to assist Lisa at that and see a few of my other guests at that as well. So I had a torn retina back in January, had the operation on January 30th. So all I have to do is wait for the gas bubble to completely dissolve, which hopefully by then it will. But folks, in the meantime, we have a five-time guest on here. We have the director and star of Reunion from Hell, which I have here on Blu-ray, and I need to get Reunion from Hell too. We're going to be talking about these. We have, folks, Hayden Newman. How do you do, Hayden?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Um, Still trying to survive in these times. I imagine if you've heard anything about our political situation here, I imagine it's not any better where you are. I'm hearing bad things all across the entire North America.
Exactly. It's hard times for everybody right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. Something's going to happen to. It almost seems to me like the middle class is being driven into the lower class. And
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but you know what I think about when I think about that kind of scenario? I think about movies like The Purge, and it's like that could become a reality if people can't survive.
exactly. Yeah. It's scary.
Yep. But I guess these higher ups, as I like to call them, in government don't have to worry about that, or so they think. So they
Yeah.
think, you know. But anyway, nonetheless, we're not here to talk about that crap. We're here to talk about Reunion from Hell and Reunion from Hell 2 and what you've been up to, since we last talked.
Well, Reunion from Hell went streaming almost a year ago. Went streaming and we got picked up by Tubi, Apple TV, Amazon Prime, Vudu/Fandango, and then a whole other list of channels I never even knew existed, which was awesome. And then Reunion from Hell 2 just went streaming in January. And we're live right now on Amazon Prime and Plex, but we
Mhm.
have been picked up by Apple TV and Tubi. But the thing with that is they don't give you a release date. You have to check every day to see if you've been released. You never know. So you can't tell people on this day, go watch it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been great to have both films out there now. People that I've seen too are loving it, which is great. Um, I'm getting messages all the time from people that have watched it and ask if there's going to be a three. Um,
Of course there
and
is, right?
well, yes,
The third one's going to be in 3D. And then the fourth one is going to be the final chapter, but then you do a new beginning,
oh
and then
yeah,
somebody's going to come out of the grave. And then you got to gimmick the seventh one.
Yeah.
And then the eighth one, they got to go to Manhattan. And then the ninth one, something totally fucked up happens. And then the tenth one, you got to go to space. Look,
Space.
Hayden, you got to follow the narrative. Come on.
I know, I know. No, I am working on the first draft of three.
Mhm.
And I have said that three is going to be the final one of this
Oh,
franchise.
bullshit. Stop lying to us.
I,
Stop
I'm
lying.
it's going to be the final one of Riley's story. Let's just say that.
See that, folks? See that? He's doing the final chapter early. He's cheating.
And I've said the only way I would ever do a four is if it was a new group of people. Um, and if Riley was to survive three, if
You
he
just
even
don't like
survived two, you need
you just don't want to do the space one, do you? You know,
no, 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 no.
you're like Jason X, Leprechaun in space, Hellraiser Bloodline. This can't work.
Exactly. But no, if has survived two, I'm not going to tell the people that haven't seen it whether or not he survived or not. And if he hypothetically survived two and is in three and survives three, I've said the only way that Riley would ever come back in a fourth one is if he kind of it's a new group of people and he steps in to help. He's not the main target anymore. I mean, if you think about it with these type of movies, how many people in the world sets out to kill one person? So
You know what? I'm just gonna tell you this. You're probably smart thinking there because right now I gotta say I can't stand the Scream franchise. You know, because I watched Scream 6 when it came into theater, and I watched a guy, one of the second bunch of legacy characters, get stabbed repeatedly.
yeah,
And then, and then he's on a gurney being stretchered out. I'm alive,
yeah,
And they did the same thing with Courtney Cox, Gail Weathers. She gets stabbed and blah blah blah. And there comes a point where it gets tiring, and
exactly.
if um, I can't I can't say it's not unrealistic. I mean, I suppose somebody could, but at the same token, what's the likeliness of that? I don't think anybody could with the second legacy character that of the you know what I'm talking about. If you've
Yeah,
seen it,
I know what you're talking.
guy was stabbed just, and I was like, you know what, I'm kind of done. Now they got Nev Campbell coming back, which I'm happy she's coming back, but I'm
Yeah,
like, I'll tell you something I would like to see happen with it. Not that I want to get off of Reunion from Hell, but I'd like for Sydney Prescott finally to be a final girl.
I
That-
agree.
because she's
I,
always had help. To me, a final girl is a final girl. We haven't
yeah,
seen Neve Campbell do that yet. I want to see that, not a bunch of people helping. And people always say, well, she's one of the greatest final girls. No, she sucked.
yeah. I
She
mean, I
sucked.
have I have a big heart for that character. I love that character, but I wouldn't put her in the true final girl category. Because you're right. And every film she has appeared in, she had some kind of help there at the end. So you're right about that. And I never even thought about that till you brought it up.
Yep. Yep. Like
And
that's where I would stand on that. To me, I agree with somebody like Ellen Ripley. And
oh
yeah, I
yeah.
call Ellen Ripley a final girl, and she ended up having to do it herself,
Hmm.
you know. To me, that's where it works. I start disqualifying people when they have help,
Yeah.
you know. So people can go off on, well, this person, like even Jamie Lee Curtis, and I love the original Halloween, but even um, she had Loomis at the end of it. So
Yep,
when I stop and I look at Final Girls, I'm like, I'm a lot more strict about the term. I'm like,
exactly.
who
I
did it
mean,
themselves?
I
So
would say, I would say Jamie Lee did not become a final girl until H2O.
man, I didn't
Um,
even like that film.
yeah, but that was the first one that she didn't have help in. She went in and confronted him herself. So, I agree with you there. I'm trying to think. Ellen Ripley is obviously one of the best final girls out there. Sarah Connor.
Yep, I'll agree with that. I'll agree with
Um,
Sarah Connor, and I would even throw, and a lot of people will disagree. And no, there wasn't a body count in this movie, but I'm going to say it: Jodie Foster in Silence of the Lambs.
oh yeah,
She had to do it herself, and
definitely.
this is not a thing about hating men. It's just, it's scarier to see the female isolated and having to do this by herself.
Yeah, it is, and it's about having to find that inner strength. And
Hmm.
at one point, there's always a point in those type movies where they can even they can what's the term, have the flight or fight response,
Hmm.
and they're like, okay, I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna die, so let's do it. um
One of my favorites in the last while, though, was Mia Goth and X.
oh yes, yeah, she
Because,
was great.
well, she did something. I think I'm the only one who's pointed this out. She broke every rule in the script that Jamie Kennedy brings up in Scream. She
Yep,
got naked. She did drugs. She had sex. She did broke every rule.
everything. Yep, and she still in the end became a badass. So
I'm looking forward to Maxine. It's the number one film I'm looking forward to this year. Um, Mia Goth has got my attention.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. I'm also really looking for, and I don't know if you've seen the commercial for it. Um, Abigail.
No, I haven't.
Um, it's the next movie, the newest movie. It comes out in April. It's the newest movie by Radio Silence, and looks like it's going to be really good. Melissa
Okay.
Barrera is in it, but it looks like an interesting concept. I'll say that.
Okay.
You just have to go out and watch the trailer.
Okay. I'll do that. But anyway, I'm sporting this really cool Reunion from Hell Blu-ray here. And I got to go back. I said this to you before. I was pretty impressed with your performance in it because I remember like originally when I was going into this, I was like, why is Hayden starring in this movie? It can't and then I have to say I'm pretty impressed with your performance. I liked your performance in it. I'm actually looking forward to seeing the second one just to see you survive.
Did survive one. Um, Riley is a very special character to me. Of course, I created Riley. Um, but I put a lot of elements of myself into that character. Um, Not the pill popping and stuff. But no, with that one, with the first one, typically, and I've said this before, typically when a horror movie starts, your protagonist, you meet them and they've had a pretty normal life. And then everything starts happening. And then that's when it gets turned around. And, by the sequel, they're all messed up. I wanted to do it opposite. that when you first met Riley, he's a mess. He is a mess. And there's 2 points in the first film where Riley is like, okay, I got to stand up and I've got to fight. I have no choice, as we were talking about. And so when we get to Riley in two, which there's a 2 year time jump between the first and the second film, Riley is a much more settled character. I'll say that. I feel Riley got his resolution at the end of one. Um, and with two is more Laurel's story. Riley's there, of course, but two's more of Laurel's story and exploring certain choices she had to make during one. Um, so I like to say two is more, even though Riley is there and he's still a protagonist, it's more focused on her and her getting over the events of one.
Yeah, and of course that's a story in itself because I mean I've had Lisa Wilcox on here way back in 2016. So but she's playing the same character. I have not had Kathy Powdwell on here yet. I'm working on it. But nonetheless, she was in the first one,
Mm-hmm.
and so you had to transition into and that can be confusing. I got to admit, it's when you look at a Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and a Nightmare on Elm Street 4, when you're
Yeah,
going from Patricia Arquette to who was it, Tuesday Night.
Tuesday night. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I find even today, if I watch that, I'm kind of like that it's not sinking in that it's the same person, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's
And,
kind of a screw up. So how did you deal with that in with having Lisa Wilcox fill in for Kathy?
well, I'll tell you a story real quick before that, talking about Nightmare 4. We joked around, even Lisa did on set, that she was the Tuesday night of Reunion 2. Um, but originally, when I did the first draft of the script, I knew how Kathy played the role, and Kathy was still attached to come back, and things didn't work out. She had some family medical issues going on, and she wasn't able to return. Scheduling just wasn't going to work out. And at that point, I said, well, I'm going to, just rewrite the whole thing. And Kathy was like, no, you're not. This is a great script. She said, I don't know how you did it, but you've topped one. This is a great script. You're not rewriting it. And I said, Kathy, I'm not doing it without you. And she said, you have my permission to recast the role. And it took me a while because that was heartbreaking to not have Kathy be able to return for two because we went through one together. And I sat back and I thought, because I didn't want that Tuesday night reaction, I thought, who is talented enough and looks as close to Kathy as possible that could step into this role? And that's where Lisa came in. If you look at a picture of Lisa and Kathy, they look like they could be sisters. So I mean, there was times on set, even when I've watched the movie, there are certain shots and scenes. I'm like, I can't tell the difference. Um, so it was an interesting transition. Um, Lisa asked me how I wanted her to portray the character, obviously, because she was coming into a role that had already been created. And my advice, what I told her was, you've seen the first film. I don't want you to feel like you have to do a carbon copy of what Kathy did. Um, make the character your own. And that's what she did. And she did an amazing job with it.
Well, like I said, still working on getting Kathy on here. I got to reach out to her again. She was supposed to come on last year, but again, some scheduling conflicts, you know. So, which is fine. I record these; they're not live, so you know, I'm pretty easy that way.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I had to reschedule you because I guess you were throwing up out the front and the back.
Yeah, I was pretty sick. Yes. It was not fun at all.
I mean, I was tempted just to say, you know what? Screw that. We could do this right here, you know? We could have live from Hayden Newman's washroom. He's got
Yeah.
we got the bedpan out there. Folks, this is a
And very different interview. Yes.
folks, we're trying
That
to get an
was
answer, but just wait. It's still coming out. It's still coming out
ex-
both ends, but we'll get there.
exactly.
Hope you're feeling better. I don't mean to joke about it, but
Oh
I'm
no,
in.
I am feeling much, much better. Thank you. I'm feeling much better. Yes.
Yeah. But nonetheless, you know, like I said, I was pretty impressed with this, and I got to get the second one. I love Christmas horror films, so you know,
We had a lot of fun with two. Um, we did a lot of nods to Black Christmas because the thing with two is we're isolated. We have no idea that it's happening again. Um, we're being stalked basically. There's a lot of POV shots. Um, and we have no idea until it comes to that point. The moment we figure it out, and there's stuff going on all around us, we don't know. The moment we figure it out is the moment we have to say, are we gonna, well, we can't run. We're isolated up here. And are we going to fight? So literally the moment we find out, the film flips. And the last 35 minutes of the movie is nothing but nonstop just going. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of fun. We shot to in the mountains of Tennessee outside Pigeon Forge. And we had a lot of fun on that set, a lot of fun. We kind of called it winter camp because we shot during the winter and we were all in the cabin together. So
and of course, you know, in addition to Lisa Wilcox, you have Mark Patton on there, which must have been a thrill for you.
it was Mark. Mark is an amazing person in real life and even more of an amazing actor. And people ask me this all the time. Did I set out to purposely cast Nightmare on Elm Street people? No, that was never, it never even crossed my mind that I would end up with three Nightmare on Elm Street alumni
Yeah,
in the
Danny
second
Castle's
film.
in this too. Yes.
Yeah. Um, so, a lot of people read for the role that Mark ended up playing. Tom Matthews read it. Uh, Kevin Spiritus read it, and it was all scheduling. They both liked the part, but it was scheduling. Because
I love,
Kevin was,
yeah, I love Tom Matthews.
yes, he's very nice. Kevin was filming. He had went back on Days of Our Lives, so he was back on that show. So that was big scheduling conflict, and I think Tom had some movies going on around the same time we were shooting. So I was talking to Lisa And I was like, I'm trying to find the perfect person. And sometimes you don't always, but I'm trying to find the perfect person to play this part. Well, she had already read the script and she said, well, what about Mark Patton? Would you work with him? And I'm like, yeah, I will gladly work with Mark. That would be a dream come true. And she told me to email him and that I can tell him that she was in the film and ask him if he was interested. So I did that, and before he even read the script, he came back and said, "Yes, I'm very interested. Let's do it." And then he read the script, and he was even more interested. I'm sure you know all the backlash he got from Nightmare 2,
Yep.
and um, which he told that story in his documentary, and he was excited to play a part that didn't put any emphasis on how he was playing that part. Um, Now, of course, when you're writing a character, you envision them a certain way, but it's how the actor portrays it's completely different. And I always encourage my actors to play their roles how they feel comfortable and how they take it. Um, and the first day of filming with Mark, I'll never forget it. He turned around and delivered that first line, and the way he delivered it, and I was like, okay, so that's how he's playing the role. He's truly comical in this movie, and he's gotten a lot of praise for it. Um, when I wrote the role, I considered the role more of a sleaze, more of a Gale Weathers type, and he changed it. He still has those sleazy aspects to him, but at the same time, it's hard to not love his character.
And of course, Danny Castle, you had him in this as well, so it completes the trilogy. And we got to mention, of course, somebody else that I've had on here, Lydia Manson. I've had on here a couple times.
Yes, Lydia, and she's getting a lot of praise for this film, and her performance. Lydia done an amazing job. You know, if I watch the film, I can see the chemistry there between all of us, but I'm not the typical audience. I was involved with the making of the film, but audiences or people that have seen the film have said, there's so much more chemistry between the characters in this one, and that's not saying anything bad about one at all. Um, but it, I think one of the reviews said with Lydia's character is you fall in love with her. She's the sweet, sassy best friend. And then when things start going wrong, you really feel the emotion she is putting through in those scenes. And I watched her film some of those scenes, obviously, and she went to some very dark places and stayed in that heightened emotion. So I give her mad props for that. Um, because like I said, she went to some dark places to reach that emotion. Um, and she is an amazing person. She's very lovely. I would gladly work with her again. Um, I can't say anything bad about any of this cast with two. I mean, I couldn't say anything bad about any of the cast in one. Um, but with one, that was our first film. We learned from that. We took our learning experiences, what we learned, and applied that to two. And I think that's what makes two so much more of a stronger film. Um, you know,
Well, here's a question. Was the Puggles a diva on set?
No, Puggles is she was like the support animal for everybody on set. She was, may she rest in peace. A very loving dog. And you know what? She got her scene in the movie within two takes. So I wouldn't say she was a diva. I guess it just come naturally to her.
There you go. There you go. So you're doing the third one. And of course what's going to be like the setting for the third one? Because you had your first one, second one is Christmas. What are you doing for the third one? Any ideas other than we're going to do it in 3D, you got to
Uh,
continue the trend.
it's kind of funny that you asked that. The idea is to set three around Halloween, which was
Okay.
funny because I've met David Howard Thornton. I did a convention with him at the beginning of
Yep.
January. Um, I've met Damien.
Same
And
here. Yep.
it was funny because I had not, which I haven't made the official announcement yet that we're doing three. Um, I'm going to wait to probably the summer to make that announcement. But it came out that they were doing Terrifier 3 during Christmas. And I was like, well, we just did Christmas for two, and now we're going and doing Halloween at three. So it was kind of like we switched places without even knowing it. Um, and you said you met David. David is such a nice guy.
I
So
had him on the show here, and I met him at Frightmare in the Falls last year. There's a little video I do where uh, he's there, and so is Damien, and uh, we're in the lobby of the hotel where everybody was staying, and because I was there assisting Lisa, and she's around in the background there too. So. Yeah, I had a good time with them, and I haven't had Damien on here yet, but I have had David Howard Thornton, and I had Michael Levi. Uh,
yeah, Michael's a really nice guy too. Me and David were talking back in January because they were getting ready, obviously, to start filming three. And him and his manager both, Damien and his manager both are like, or not Damien, David and his manager both were like, Damien is stressed out, which I know what that's like. Um, I was like, I know how that goes. I've been there. Um, but it is very stressing during pre-production. It's stressing through the whole process. I'm not gonna lie, it's stressing through the whole process. I've had people come up to me at conventions because I've started doing more convention appearances and ask me
I bet that's
advice
David Howard Thornton right there, I bet.
and ask me advice, and I'm like, my best advice is don't give up,
Hmm.
and you have to have a really thick skin to be in this business.
Hmm.
You have to be prepared for anything because it's going to happen. People are going to talk about you. People are going to, not like something you did, or it's just going to happen. That's the way it is with anything. But you've really, you know, I had to get past that where people were talking about me that had never even met me or didn't know the side of a certain story.
Hmm.
Um, and I just, I sat down one day and I said, it is what it is. People can believe what they want to believe. But I'm not going to let it bother me no more. I just
Well,
couldn't stress over it no more.
this is your fifth time on my show. I mean, obviously, you made a good impression on me.
Yeah. And
Uh,
I've enjoyed coming back every time on the show.
oh yeah.
Um, you know, I did not realize Lisa Wilcox is who pointed it out to me because that's when we were filming two was right when I started doing more convention appearances.
Hmm.
And she said, I want you to be prepared. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she said, you created a character that people relate to. And they're not going to see you as Hayden. They're going to see you as Riley when they come up to you. And I really didn't understand that. She said, just like when people come up to me, they don't see me as Lisa, they see me as Alice Johnson. And I really didn't understand it until people started coming up to me and telling me how much they related to Riley and how much that character meant to them. And I was like, this is what Lisa was talking about. Um, and it blows my mind. It really does. When people come up and they're like, can I get this quote? And I'm like, did I say that? I don't remember saying it, but it blows my mind how they know specific quotes. So I must have done something right.
How many conventions have you done?
As of right now, I have done six. In 2 weeks, specifically 2 weeks from today, I'll be in Nashville for the Full Moon Horror and Tattoo Festival. So that'll be my seventh. And then in June, I'm going to a special event in Nebraska, of all places. Nothing wrong with Nebraskans, but it's a special LGBTQ pride event, and I'm the guest of honor, I guess you can say. And we're going to be showing the movies and we everything the venue makes that night. The venue is donating to the Nebraska AIDS Project and the Nebraska shelters for youth, LGBTQ youth. And when they asked me, I was like, I can't say no to this. It's an honor to be asked to do something like that. And then in August, as of right now, in August, I'll be in New Jersey um, at the New Jersey, I think I can't remember the last part of it. It's Film
I'm s-
Fest and ParkCon or,
I'm supposed
um,
to be there at the end of April for Chiller.
yeah, I'll be there in August. And what's funny about that particular convention is it's the first one that Kathy has done in years. Kathy will be there. I'm going to be there. And Danny and Lisa are going to be there. So both Laurels are going to be there. So, and Kathy did a Dallas, because Kathy was on Dallas for 4 seasons. She did a big Dallas thing a couple of weeks ago out in Los Angeles, and she told me, she said, I had people bringing up stuff from Reunion from Hell and talking to me about it. I'm like, wow, that's awesome, because she says anytime that she has done those type of shows, somebody, it never fails, brings something Night of the Demons. She said, so I was glad to see something new and different to sign. Um, but right now, I may be doing um Scarefest again this year in October. but right now, New Jersey is my last official booked date. Not saying more to come because you get emails all the time, but right now, New Jersey is the last official for the year.
Mhm.
Um, so we'll see. And I wholeheartedly enjoy going out and meeting the fans and hearing their stories and getting to know other actors. Um, Lynn Lowry, I'm sure you know
Oh
Lynn.
yeah. Oh no, not only do I know her, I met her at Frightmare or not Frightmare, Horrorama 2018. She's a hugger. And
Yes.
sh- I was the first podcast she did.
Oh
And
wow.
yep. And I have not only did she signed items like pictures and stuff at Horrorama, but she does occasionally when stuff like Shivers and the Crazies and whatnot comes out on Blu-ray, she'll do a special bundle deal on Facebook. And I've got a lot of signed movies of her, and I got a lot of autographs of Lynn Lowry through those, and I love doing it because Lynn is wonderful, you know.
Yes,
Yeah,
she is a complete doll, sweetheart,
yeah.
huge heart. Um, she was at the convention I did back at the beginning of January, and
Hmm.
it was kind of odd because my handler, we were all sitting at the hotel bar after the Saturday night show and was eating and everything, and she went up to my handler. I don't know if she was nervous to talk to me or what. She went up to my handler and said, "Will you please talk to Hayden about putting me in Reunion from Hell 3?"
Oh, do it.
And me and her got to talking. And I mean, there's a picture of us. I don't know if it's been released. I don't know, but there's a picture of me and her kissing that was taken that night. We just had a blast together. Um, and
Well, I would
that
imagine
was,
Lynn Lowry's a fun person to kiss.
yeah, that was flattering, very flattering to have someone of her resume and her stature to ask to be in my film.
I hope you're going to do it. You'll benefit having her on there.
Yes. Yes, we've already talked about who she could possibly play. I'm working with her on that. She said, as long as I don't play a grandmother, I'll be fine. She said, I hate playing grandmothers.
Well, she's still a good-looking woman, and she's aged wonderfully. Um, like when I did Horrorama, I met her both days, you know, but I don't know. I've got so many like 90. I mean, I got stuff signed there. I got Sugar Cookies. I never even heard of that movie, that Blu-ray she did with Mary Warnov. I just bought it off her table. It's like, if you're doing a movie with Mary, I got to see this. So I
Yeah.
signed that, but through Facebook with these promotional deals she was doing, I've gotten Shivers, I've gotten the Crazies, Model Hotel, I think it was she did. And there might be another one. I could be blanking, but she'll always send picture or poster or something like that goes with it signed. So it was a nice little package deal. And so I've got quite a few Lynn Lowry signatures here. And
Yeah.
I keep all my autographs too, just verify.
Oh, exactly. I just fell in love with her. Um, she I I see a lot of Kathy's personality in her. I don't
Hmm.
think she has a mean bone in her body. Um, and when you have someone again of that stature ask to be in your film, you don't say no. It's an
No.
honor.
Oh, gee, you've already got me interested in the third one just based on that, you know.
Um,
And
so
she can handle a 3D process. We've already decided you're going to do.
oh yeah. Um,
I'm being your special dictator on this project. Folks, we're going to have Reunion from Hell 2 in space. Just give Hayden time, you know. Give Hayden
um,
time. It'll be a
but
dumpster fire because the space ones have to be, and
yeah,
Hayden is not one to break tradition.
yeah. I don't imagine. I can't imagine what Riley would be like in space. That would be interesting. Um, but Danny, I have to give props out to Danny Hassel. I don't know if you've ever met Danny.
I haven't,
Um,
no.
Danny is amazing. He's got a huge heart. He, Reunion from Hell 2 was his first film really back. So he did an amazing job, and he's excited that he has a new film out there like Kathy that he can share with his fans. But it's kind of funny what happened with Danny. Again, going back to, did I set out to do a Nightmare on Elm Street reunion? Um, Me and Danny had done a convention together, and our tables were next to each other. So we were neighbors the whole weekend. We really got to know one another. And we were outside, and I just brought it up. I was like, would you be interested in working with me? He said, I thought you were never going to ask. And
That
that's
is
how
awesome.
Danny came into a Reunion from Hell too. And it's funny because people were expecting when they saw both Lisa and Danny were in it that they would be playing a couple because, of course, Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5. They're actually brother and sister
Oh,
in
gee.
Reunion from Hell too.
Things are getting weird with those two now.
Yeah, he's her younger brother. Uh, so, but Danny is very much the type of person, he makes a joke out of everything, even if stuff's going bad. He looks at the positive of it and like keeps you laughing all the time. Um, so anybody out there looking to cast Danny, Mark, Lisa, I highly recommend it because working with all three of them was an honor. It was a dream come true. Because obviously I grew up with the Nightmare on Elm Street series. So being able to work with one, but not with three, how I want to say that. Being able to work with one would have been an honor. Being able to work with three was a dream come true. Um,
And you'll
and
have
to
fun
hear,
with Lynn Laurie.
oh yeah, and to hear all the stories of what went on behind the scenes of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and it was like, it was just a dream come true. I can't say anything other than that. Um, and people are discovering it, are discovering the Reunion from Hell series because they see three Nightmare on Elm Street alumni. So that's what makes them want to watch it. Then they're like, well, it's not necessary. Somebody did a review and they said it's not necessary to watch one. I had never watched one when I watched two, but I went back and watched one. Um, so it's gaining this whole new fan base now because people come in because they see Lisa Wilcox, Danny Hassel, Mark Patton, and they watch the film and then they're like Kathy Podwell in one, so they want to go back. So it's been an interesting, you know, how these films have been discovered.
Um, I know when I had you on here last, you were supposed to be in a movie called The Hag Witch. I don't see that listed on your IMDb anymore. Is that still a go?
Well, they changed that. What I went with that was uh they combined elements of the Hag Witch with the movie they just put out, which is getting mad praise on the festival circuit right now, called
Okay.
Redhead.
Okay.
Um, and I was supposed to be a part of Redhead, and what happened was scheduling. I couldn't get
Yeah.
up to West Virginia to
Hmm.
shoot the scenes. So I was really disappointed because I love working with Jonna and Sam, and you know they've been on this reunion ride for me with me from the beginning, and you know I was really disappointed I could not make it up there to film my scenes for Redhead. But there is Redhead 2 coming, so hopefully I'll be involved with that. But other than that, other than convention appearances and the releases of the films and working on the first draft of three, I don't have much going on. That's a lot going on right there. But it's like I said, it's you have to have a thick skin to be in this business. Just you have
Yeah,
to be.
you definitely do.
Um and I will say gladly, I made mistakes during the pre-production of one. I've tried to right all of those mistakes. I own those mistakes. I made them. Um, but I learned from them too.
Well, here's what I'm going to say about that. This movie is very competently done. Reunion from Hell. I was actually surprised how this turned out. Done very competent. I liked it better than Night Swim earlier this month, or earlier in January, I should say. So certainly, as far as I'm concerned, a better film than that. So I think you made a competently made film, and I don't hear any drama for Reunion from Hell 2. So I would say you got through that hurdle and you learn from your mistakes.
I did. Yeah, there was absolutely no drama during
Yeah.
pre-production all the way through filming and everything for Reunion from Hell too. It
Well,
was
there
a
you
very
go.
smooth selling ship on that
So
one.
there you go. Now you get the third one you're working on. I would say that you're getting better as you keep doing this. So
Oh yeah, and that's what a lot of people have said that have seen one, and I think I said it earlier. They've seen one and then now seen two. That everything in two, just from the shots and everything, was just amped up. Um, I think one person called it, and that was, I know they called it this, and this was a huge shocker, but it was a huge compliment too. They called two the Empire to a New Hope.
okay, all
So
right,
I
that'll
was
be good.
like, well, okay then, because everybody seems to like the Empire Strikes Back more than A New Hope. So I was like, well, that says a lot.
Okay,
But going into this business, once I set my mindset, I'm going to do something, which I'm sure you've saw with one. I'm going to do it. There's no stopping me. I'm not going to, you know, if it kills me, I'm going to do it. Which oddly, I got a lot of injuries on the set of one. So, but
There
we
you
were
go.
more prepared for that into as well, because you don't have stunt doubles in these type of films.
No. Well, Hayden, it was wonderful having you come on here today, and talk about this and yeah, your fifth time on here.
I know. Yeah, it's hard to believe it's wow. It's hard to believe that it's fixing to be 5 years since we did the first film.
Yep,
Crazy to even think about that. Um,
absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So,
so,
anything else you got coming up that you wanna voice?
other than the convention appearances I told you about,
Hmm.
if obviously people out there watching it want to come out to the conventions and meet me, that's I love it. Um, I'm always happy to meet a fan. And then, you know, fixing to go full speed into the script for three, honestly, because when I finished two, I was like, I got to get out of these characters' heads for a while. Because we did one and two really back to back. Um, so I had been in those characters' mind space in their heads for at that point like 2 years. I was like, I need to step back. And we really wanted to see what the reaction to two was going to be before I officially said I would do a three. Certain actors already knew there was going to be a three. I can't say who yet,
Oh, I
but
knew there was going to be a three
yeah,
in
uh,
3D.
um, you know, certain people knew there was going to be a three, and they were like, when they're anxious for the script. When's the script coming? When's the script coming? I'm like, well, now that two's out and everybody loves it so much, I'm going to go full speed with the script for three. Um, so I will say three, as it usually happens with trilogies, there will be a lot of revelations in three that nobody knew about that goes all the way back to before the first film.
Okay.
So I'll say that much, and that it takes place around Halloween time. I'll say that
There,
much.
there you go. Well, Hayden, it was wonderful having you come on here today and talk about this and I'll keep having you come on here and talk about your updates. You seem to be making some great progress, so why not?
I enjoy coming on every time. Like you said, this is the fifth time, and it's funny. The first time I came on, we had not even made the first film yet. It was in pre-production, and I can't remember who put us together for me to come on to your show that first time.
I don't remember.
I don't
I don't
think
remember.
it's 5 years.
Mhm.
Um, but it's I enjoy coming on every time and giving the updates, and I have another podcast tomorrow night. So I'm
Mhm.
getting more and more of those, which is I love doing them.
Mhm.
Um, so it's become a dream come true in a lot of ways. And I'm very, very thankful and grateful to everybody that supported me and the filmmakers in both one and two. I think a lot of people saw one and, like you said, was impressed and wanted to see where we were going to go with two. Um, so the support we have gotten has been amazing, and I'm forever grateful for it.
Well, folks, you've been listening to Python's Paradise with Hayden Newman on here for the fifth time, director of Reunion from Hell. One, two, and we got number three. We got number four, the final chapter. We got number five, Riley's beginning. We got six, Riley lives. We got seven, Riley the superhero. We got eight, Riley takes a trip to Manhattan.
Yeah.
Nine, who knows what happens there in nine? I will leave it to you. 10, finally, Riley goes to space.
Well, I'm wondering if they're going that direction with Scream because they just went to Manhattan in the last one. So,
Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me. I've long since jumped ship on the Scream franchise, you know. I'm interested to see Maxine this summer, you know, because X and Pearl were great, so I'm kind of
yeah,
interested to see where that goes. But you know, Scream has long since lost me. They had me interested when they had Jenna Ortega in there and they were doing that fifth one, and I was like, and then they shit the bed on that sixth one, and it's like, because I'm not even a fan of Scream 2, 3, and 4, to be honest. So there you
yeah,
go. It's just, you know, there's certain elements about them I can appreciate, but
exactly.
I'm to the point now where watching certain characters constantly getting stabbed and stabbed. How many times we got to see Gale Weather get stabbed?
Yes, and
You don't even know.
I honestly thought, because that was an intense chase scene. I will say that her chase scene was intense. I honestly thought that they had killed her off, and then the last minute they're like, "We got a faint pulse," and I'm like, "Really?"
Of course,
So,
you know.
um, you know, I know we got to wrap this up, but when I saw Nev back in November, I saw her at a convention,
Hmm.
and we were talking, obviously, about her possible return for seven, because that whole drama with six. And she said, I can't talk about it, but then she gave me a little wink. Um, so and then I think when with Spyglass, when they fired Melissa Briera and then Jenna Ortega announced that she was leaving the project, I think they knew the only way they were going to get the audience back was they had to bring Nev back. Um,
And they got rid of Melissa over the dumbest shit.
they really did, and I think they shot themselves in the foot with that because I liked that storyline.
Hmm.
Um, there was elements about it that I really liked and would like to have seen played out through the seventh film. But yeah, Spyglass really shot themselves in the foot on that one.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know what, Hayden? It was wonderful having you come on here today, and I look forward to having you come back again for a six, you know.
Yeah, I'm just having the sequels with you. There you go. I'm having,
Yeah,
where
when we do our 10th one, you'll be in space.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, yeah, we'll do it that way. Anyway, Hayden, good luck to you. Have a wonderful year, and best of luck with Reunion from Hell 3. Having Lynn Lowry come on board, fantastic decision.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And you're the first person to know that other than Lynn and some of the other filmmakers. So
Well,
yeah.
this is going to be unlisted for a bit, so you don't have to worry about the secret coming out too soon. So there you
Yeah.
go.
All right. Well, I always enjoy coming on and I wish you the best year coming up and uh we'll get you two so you can finally see two. Um and yes, because we seem to do it every year. I will see you again next year. If
There
I
you
don't
go.
see you at a convention before then.
Well, I'm going to do Chiller, and then I got one, maybe two in Toronto that I'll be doing, at least one anyway. I'm right now healing from a torn retina in my eye, so I can't fly until this is completely healed, but knock on wood, it should be healed by the end of April so that I could do
Yeah.
Chiller because I'm doing that with Lisa. So anyway, I bid you a wonderful day. You
You
take care,
too.
man.
You
Absolutely.
too. All
Okay.
right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. Bye bye.